Hey, what's up, everyone? This is swgg with Swagger Gaming, bringing you another World of Warcraft Battle for Azeroth video. Today I wanted to quickly go over how to simulate your character and grab your stat weights in order to properly gear your character in World of Warcraft. Okay, to do this, we are going to use two different programs. The first one is Ask Mr. Robot, and the second one is Pawn. So Pawn, you can just download. It's an add-on. It's an in-game thing. When you download it, it will have stat weights for your character already, but these are not super accurate. So we are going to show you how to get new stat weights. Second one you're going to need is Ask Mr. Robot. So you're going to need to create a login. When you go to the front page, I'm already logged in, but there will be a button up here that says make an account or login. Just go through that process. It's free. You can pay the $12 a year, so $1 a month to upgrade, which I do have, but that's not necessary for this. You get a few extra perks like best in bags and stuff like that. So once you do this, you're going to need to go to the menu here, and you're going to want the simulator client. And you're just going to download that. It's going to put a thing on your desktop here. Ask Mr. Robot, and we will run this program here. You're going to need this running in the background for some of the bigger simulations. Okay, we're back on the home page here. We're just going to go over how to do a single simulation first. This is to get things like just what DPS you should be doing and how much the damage of your different spells should be. So the first thing we're going to do is you can either click the simulator here, or you can click simulate in the top right corner. And it'll bring you here. So we're going to click on single simulation. Pick a character. If you haven't done anything, there won't be anything here. We're going to go find your region, realm, and type in your character's name. If I can type. I'll click import. And it will import your character from Armory. So if you're logged in, it won't be updated. So log out before you do this, I guess. If you want to, you can come here and you can change your talents around, stuff like that. And you can change which weapon, different gear you have. You can give stuff different eye levels. You can give it sockets, minor stats that it comes up with. So that's cool, but we will go over that in a second. This is mostly just to grab your current DPS. So we are going to then go to either next, or you can click settings here. So let's just do a single target right now. AMR puts in different scripts for bosses as well as they come up, but really you're going to kind of be sticking with single target or Mythic Plus. We're just going to go single target for now. For these things here, you can do whatever you want. So the 10% is if you have a warrior, mage, or priest in your group. This one is if you are using the scrolls version. And then this is if you have none, obviously. Potions, you can see which potions you're going to be using, etc. I kind of just leave this stuff and then all this advanced stuff as well. I just kind of leave it how it is. That way when I simulate my character, it's the same every time. If you know that you are going to have a lot of lag or you have really slow reaction time or something like that, then you can mess with these, but I would just leave it blank. So we're then going to hit simulate. This should be pretty quick because it's just doing one simulation essentially. So as this pops up, so this is the DPS I should be doing if I have the exact right rotation with the gear I am on. This is the standard deviation of how much DPS plus or minus I should be doing. And down here, it has a breakdown of your spells. So what's nice about this is, you can say, oh, I'm only doing 7,000 DPS. What's going wrong? You can come down here and say, oh, my Star Surge on live using a add-on is only doing 10% of my damage instead of 26%. So I know that I need to add more Star Surgers into the rotation. Something like that. So that's for your basic simulation. This is good for kind of fixing your rotation a little bit, seeing what you should be doing with your current talents. Next, we're going to go over gearing strategy and the stat weights, and then we'll follow that with testing combinations of trinkets and stuff. Okay, for gearing strategy and stat weights, what we're going to do is close this out, and we're going to go back to the home page. We'll just start over. Same thing, we're going to go to the simulator, but this time we're going to click this gearing strategy button. Now, if you have the AMR add-on, you can paste a string here, and that way you don't have to pull it from your armory. I find it's just easier to not run that and just pull it from the armory. And you can make changes if you need to. So if your recent character is here, you can click on that, or you can try and pull it from the armory again, just the way we did last time. So we'll click here. Here's our base setup. Again, we can change stuff around if we want. Here, we're just going to leave it for now. Let's do a Mythic Plus setting this time, and we're going to go ahead and simulate this. Now, this is going to tell you it's going to take a long time. This takes 5 to 10 minutes to do on my computer, and I have a pretty good setup. So this could take a long time, especially if you have other stuff running in the background. Okay, our simulation is done. As you can see, it ran 1,217 simulations, which is why it took so long. So we can go ahead and save this if you want. This way you won't have to rerun the simulation again. So the first thing we're going to go over is this machine learning portion, which is really what you should be kind of going for. So at item level 338, which just pulls from what you have right now, what you ran the simulation on. My worst stat weights would be if I went and I got 2007 mastery. That would be the worst thing I could do. Followed by versatility, and then the lowest amount of crit and haste possible. My 100% right here would be 0 versatility, 2007 haste, 669 crit, and 223 mastery. So if I could somehow hit those numbers with a 338 item level, that would be the best possible combination of secondary stats I could get. So let's say we are all normal all year gear here. It looks very similar. A little bit more crit than mastery with this amount of gear, and a lot more haste. Basically, as we go up this, and let's say we get to 400 item level, it kind of doesn't change for me, for my character specifically. We just want to stack haste, and that's really it. Okay, so let's take this back to our default. It was 338, I believe. And we'll go and click on the stat weights. So the stat weights here are good for if we want to make quick decisions, like a piece of loot drops and we have to trade it, or we have to choose if we want to trade it or not, to enter into pawn. So these weights, every piece of gear you get, these weights will change just because haste becomes more valuable if you have less haste, or crit becomes less valuable if you have more crit, depending on your class. So these stat weights are great to maybe take once a week and put into pawn, redo your pawn, and we can go from there. Okay, we're in game now. The first thing I want to show you is if I have this piece of gear, for example, at the bottom there, it says restoration up plus 4%. And what that is telling me is that is pawn saying that for the current scales I have for restoration, this is a 4% upgrade. Let's go into pawns. You can either use the thing up here, or you can just type /pawn, which is what I usually do. First thing you're going to want to do is click manual to let me manage my own scales. All right, so you are going to make an empty scale from scratch here. You can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it balance 2. And then I like to type in AMR just so I know. I already have a balance scale, which is why I did 2. So now what you're going to do is you are going to use the weights that you got from the simulation here. So let's go ahead and type these in. So this is worth 2.25. Haste is worth 1.9. Crit is worth 1.61. Mastery is worth 1.48. Versatility is 1.45. Avoidance 0.03. Movement speed is 0.02. And leech is 0.01. Okay, so now those are in there. Make sure that when you're on this scale, you have this clicked. Show this scale in tooltip. I'm going to go ahead and change this to my class color. Okay. And we can now go ahead and close this. So I'm just going to equip these other boots for now. So what this is telling me is that with my new stat weights, this is a 10% upgrade for my balance spec. As you can see, this is already changed because my balance AMR there says plus 12% when I made the first one about a week ago. So as you gear up, these are going to change. I recommend at least switching up your thing once a week, if not daily. Sometimes people don't like to do that. It just depends on how much gear you get and if you really care that much about changing it. Again, stat weights aren't perfect and they are going to change with your gear. So just make sure that you are simulating your character when you get new trinkets and stuff like that as well. Okay, the last thing I wanted to go over is test combinations. This is also in Simulator, and we're just going to go to test combinations now. We're going to pick our character again. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow us to run a simulation against what we currently have equipped. So let's say I got a new trinket. So we're going to go into gear. We're going to go to my trinket here. And let's say we got this twitching tentacle here. And then let's say we also got this here. So I have all three of these in my bag. Let's just say I already know Dark Moon deck is the best. And I want to check out which one of these three is the best here. So we're going to go ahead, go down here, and let's switch this to Mythic Plus for now. We'll simulate. And then what I like to do is, because this is only going to run one simulation of each, I like to click this a couple times and just make sure I'm getting the same data from all of them in the same order. So what this is going to do is it's going to run the base of what you have equipped already, and then it's going to run each of those trinkets against each other as well. So right now, what this is telling me is if I have, let's go ahead and subtract the reference here. So if I had this 385 Mythic trinket, it's going to be a higher DPS than my Ignition Mage's Fuse, which is a higher DPS than the Nautilus, right? So we can come here and we can check out these other ones we did as well. I like to subtract the reference. It's just easier for me to see. So again, same order here, and then same order here as well. So this is telling me this is indeed the correct order. Sometimes trinkets will be really close to each other, and you will get a different order here. If you're running multiple trinkets against each other, like I did for my best in slot list, I had 10 or 15 trinkets in here, and it was a different order every time. So what I did was I took this DPS number and I just averaged them. So that is how you're going to go ahead and run trinkets. And another example is if you have a weapon with a proc on it or something like that, and it's harder to say, oh, that proc is worth 50 haste or something like that. Okay, so the other thing we can do here as well is let's go back to the setups. I'm going to hit restore defaults. And what that is going to do is it's just going to get rid of all the stuff we've already done. Sometimes shooting stars and Fury of Elune for me they're very close. And so I want to see which one does more damage on Mythic Plus. So let's make sure we're still on Mythic Plus here. We'll go ahead and simulate that. And let's run it a couple times again, just to make sure we're getting accurate data. So this is nice because some of the talents are actually very good compared to each other. And they're very good in different situations. So you can see now, is shooting stars better for me in Mythic Plus? What's better for me in single target? Stuff like that. So in Mythic Plus, it's looking like shooting stars is coming out ahead of Fury of Elune. And let's wait for this last one to finish here. It looks like it's coming out ahead on our second one as well. And we will go ahead and see what we get on our third run here. Shooting stars is ahead of Fury of Elune. So that is a great way to check your trinkets against each other, weapons with procs like Sea Breeze, talents, and everything like that. Well, those are the basics of simming your character and grabbing your stat weights. This is probably the extent of what most people need unless you are in a super high-end mythic raiding guild, but those people probably don't need this video to tell them how to optimize their characters. Don't forget to update your stat weights periodically as they do change with gear. Hopefully this video helped you out, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you had a good time. Thanks for watching, and have a great one.